and welcome to this edition of the MDM podcast on this early Saturday morning. It's about 1:45, and I'm not tired, so I decided to come sit in front of a microphone. But I'm really here today because yesterday I had the great Jonah from Twitter on the show to talk about the Beltran firing and what's unfolded the past couple of days with baseball. So what I wasn't able to get out my full opinion and what I really thought about Beltran and everything that's transpired. So tonight I'm just gonna go over what I really think because again I wasn't able to say everything I really wanted to say. So and that's the beauty of doing this. You can do it whenever you want, and I choose now at 1:45 on an early Saturday morning. So when Beltran was fired on Thursday, it wasn't a shock. The past couple days before he got fired, everyone knew that even if you were inside, if you had inside sources or you're just a regular average guy like me, you can see that Brody and the Mets were starting to give up on Beltran. There were rumblings that they were considering firing him, and as the days and hours went on, it seemed more and more likely that this guy wouldn't manage a game. And then Thursday afternoon, it happened. They fired him. They released a statement where Beltran was very apologetic and like he should be. He cheated, but nothing really surprising from the Beltran statement. How he just wants to be a better parent and father figure and to all the veterans and all that. The Mets statement, however, included about how honest he was. Either it didn't specify either with the investigation or just in general. I assume it's with the investigation. So if you're going to include in the statement from your organization the statement that he was honest with you and forthcoming, why did you fire him? If he told you everything you need to know about this investigation, why did you fire him? Because according to the memo that Brodie Van Wagenen said in the press release, he didn't see anything different. He wasn't aware of anything that wasn't released in Rob Manfred's memo. And then when Brodie came on with Jeff to do he did a press conference only on the radio, I heard it. Joe Sherman brought up a good point. Why didn't you take action earlier? On November 12th, when this article came out, keep in mind, Beltran was hired on November 1st. So when the Athletic article written by Ken Rosenthal came out on November 12th, why wasn't it a good time to ask Beltran what happened then? Brodie said he didn't want to get involved in the league and whatnot, and they didn't want to ask him any questions. But why? Now you're sitting here on January 18th, starting your offseason again. You have to go out and find a manager now, with less than 3 weeks until spring training. Pitchers and catchers report in 20 days. Wouldn't it have made sense to ask him on November 15th, did you play a role in this to the point where we need to get rid of you? Now, I don't know. I still believe today that the Mets were pressured to do this by the Red Sox and the Astros. When Hinch and Cora were fired, Brodie and Jeff realized that Beltran was also mentioned in the memo, and he had to be the next one. Which shouldn't be. Manfred wrongfully wrote Beltran's name in that memo. He shouldn't have been in there. Manfred wanted Beltran fired because he singled him out in the memo. Beltran and 23 other players. Why mention Beltran's name? Unless he played a key role in this, which it doesn't say, why did he have to be singled out? Is it because he's a current manager? So what? If Evan Gattis and Brian McCann want to manage next year, are they not allowed to now? Or are they allowed to because they weren't mentioned in this in Rob Manfred's essay? There's a case where Beltran was singled out here. And it's not fair to him. Up until 2017, it looks like he was the nicest guy. Everyone loves him. How couldn't you? He's a great player. So what does Rob Manfred have against him here? And I don't buy that Manfred wants to save the integrity of the sport, because there's a bunch of stuff happening right now. If you didn't see last night with the buzzers and the confetti and all that with the Astros in 2019, Manfred's not being very transparent with us. He's not letting us know all the information, which I have a huge problem with. Why are we politicizing baseball? The Astros cheating in 2019 is not an issue of national security. If Congress needs to hold something to themselves, yeah, you don't release info. But this is baseball, not the United States Congress. I feel bad for Beltran, because he was fired just after a meeting with his coaches, who Brody said the next manager is going to keep the same coaching staff, which I guess takes some of the pressure off the new manager, whoever it may be. I said on my last show, when I did the Astros, I think that was 2 or 3 shows ago, that Buck Showalter's name is going to come up here. Because now that these coaches were fired because of a cheating scandal, these clubhouses need a culture change. And I don't think Buck plays games. Buck's too late in his life to play games. If the Mets, Astros, or Red Sox hire Buck, it's Buck's team, not the analytic department's team. So when Joel Sherman asked him that question, why didn't you take action earlier? And Brody and Jeff both responded that they found it unnecessary to ask questions beforehand. What? Like I said, you could have avoided all of this. Instead of hiring a new manager on January 18th, you could have did it in the middle of November like every other managerial vacancy was. And you want to know how you avoided all this as a Monday morning quarterback this? Joe Girardi. No involvement whatsoever in 2017. Nothing. I'm not second guessing the Beltran hire. Before November 12th, I was all for it. And I was all for Beltran keeping his job this week. All for it. Just because Manfred wrote his name down, he can't have his job. That's not fair to him. That's not fair to every player written in that memo. And there were a bunch of Met fans on Twitter who were calling for Beltran's head. If you're going to call for Beltran's head, call for J.D. Davis's head and call for Jake Marisnik's head. They were both on that team. They both cheated. Why can't they be on the team? Why can't they be suspended? Because they were players? The players union would get upset with Manfred if he suspended some Astros players? Cody Bellinger was ticked off last night on Twitter, as was Trevor Bauer and Alex Wood. There were dozens of players tweeting out. Aroldis Chapman was tweeting out gifs of him laughing and eating popcorn watching this stuff unfold. So Manfred bent over for 10 players on the Astros instead of respecting the integrity of the 29 other teams. I've been up and down with Manfred this entire time in this scandal. I didn't like how he kept information from us in 2017 and 18. I liked his memo calling out the Astros, not Beltran. That was a huge flaw in the memo. I think Manfred really hit the nail on the head with this. With the memo. Except Beltran. He just told us how bad the Astros organization was. That's what he needed to do. But why not everything else? Why can't you tell us everything else that's happening? Because we know there's stuff happening. Scott Brocious' son, I think his name is Matt? I don't know what his name is. Basically said every team knew what was happening with the Astros back in 2014. This is 6 years now he's been holding this from us. Why? Why can't the baseball fan know what's happening in their league? And if I could jump back to the players' union here. There were players who lost money from this. If Aaron Judge wins that MVP in 2017, his arbitration numbers are through the roof because he's an MVP. Yu Darvish, career ruined because of that Game 7 start. Because of a team that cheated. And the players got off the hook. While the 29 of the teams with their players didn't. Why? So now, as I said, January 18th, the Mets, Red Sox, and Astros are now looking for managers, and for the Astros, a general manager. It's not the spot you want to be in. And I think teams from now on will definitely second guess trying to steal pitches electronically. Do I think the Yankees did it? I don't know. You saw Cora go out there and wink when they mentioned Beltran. I think that says something. Alex Bregman, when Carlos Beltran's name came up, he winked and said something. I think that says something. No doubt in my mind the Yankees somehow, some way did something to get an edge on their players. Whether it be binoculars in the bullpen catchers with their fingers on the fence, or electronics. There is currently no investigation into the Yankees. I think eventually you'll see the Yankee stuff start to unfold. As I told my father, it's too good to be true. It's too good to be true. The Astros, Red Sox, and Mets crumbling to the ground. And the Yankees are all innocent? I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's say the Yankees are innocent. Let's say they are. Let's look at the kind of offseason they had now. You got Garrett Cole. You have no more Greg Bird, no more Jacoby Ellsbury. And then your rivals for the past 2 years, with the exception of the Rays, Minnesota Twins, and A's, the Astros go down, and the Red Sox go down. Could it get any better? And to the Mets to a certain degree. The Mets are another league. I don't really care. Unlike some Met fans who care a lot about the Yankees, Yankee fans don't care about the Mets. Because we win. That's why. So is it too good to be true? I think so. I think in the next couple weeks or months, put your own time frame on it, I do think the Yankees somehow get themselves into this. Somehow, some way. That's all I got. It's almost 2 a.m. now. And I said in the beginning I wasn't very tired. I'm pretty tired now. Sports Center starts to loop, and that's how you know you have to go to bed. You can follow me on Twitter at @JoeMorales_. I actually do have to. I have to record another one. I have to do a football one right after this, so I'll be up well past 3 tonight. Sorry, but yeah, @JoeMorales_ on Twitter. You can follow the show at the MDM Podcast. This has been the MDM Podcast.